Do you want to start?
Okay, got some sound?
Yeah.
Okay, Samsaritara Nalavida Loka Pranaya Karanya Gananatvam
Samsaradhara Nalavida Loka Pranaya Karanya Gananatvam
Pratasya Karyana Gunaravasya
Pratasya Karyana Gunaravasya
Ande Guru Shri Charanarvindam
Ande Guru Shri Charanaravinda Ande Guru Shri Charanaravinda
Mahaprabhu Nityanani Sakita Bhakti Samadhyana Sarasena
Mahaprabhu Kirtanari Tarita Valita Bhajana Sarasena
Brahman Shakaram Prashutaranga Bhajo
Ramanchakam Pasutaranga Pajo
Ande Guru Shri Charanarvindam
Ande Guru Shri Charanaravinda Ande Guru Shri Charanaravinda
Shri Vigraharana Nityanana Sringavatam Mandir Madhananu
Vivigraharana Nityanana Shingaratan Mandira Vardhanano
Tasya Bhaktam Shaniyantatupi
Tasya Bhaktam Shaniyundatopi
Ande Guru Shri Charanarvindam
Ande
Yasya prasadana kita kutopi.
Yasya prasada Bhagava prasada Yasya prasada Nagati kutopi
Gayam Siddham Yashaya Shashti Sanya.
Gayam Siddham Yashaya Shashti Sanya.
Vande Guru Shri Charanarvindam.
Vande Guru Shri Charanarvindam. Vande Guru Shri Charanarvindam. Imaturo Rasakame Karuche. Brahme Muhurte Patati Prayatna. Nasena Vinna Manana Kasaksa. Vande Guru Shri Charanarvindam. Is that the first bit of the song? Is that I worship the lotus feet of my divine master? Because that bit always repeats. Is that what it means?
Bande Guru, Sri Charana.
Yeah.
Yeah, means
Worship.
I worship the lotus feet
Yeah.
of divine master.
Okay.
Bande, like Bandeham, and Charana, feet.
Yeah. Shri Guru Charana. That's one.
Yeah.
Okay. Want to do the next one?
Can be. Kirupe Paivo,
Okay.
154.
Okay.
Kirupe Paivo, Shivam, Muiduraja.
have no devotional attachment for either the Vaishnavas or my spiritual master. How is it possible for a rascal like me to attain devotional service? And my mind is always drowning in illusion. I have not even the smallest fragment of devotion for the Vaishnavas. I have become blind by constantly meditating on the objects of the senses, for which Mayadevi has placed a hangman's noose around my neck. Even if I can cure my blindness and defeat Maya in the form of this hangman, I cannot become free from material illusion without the mercy of the saintly Vaishnavas. O Master, O Purifier of the sinful, O Saviour of the fallen souls, you do not see the faults of others. Please rescue this Narottam Das.
Jai. Today is Baladev Vidyabhusan's disappearance day, and hence the devotees are chanting this traditional song, Kirtan, for the disappearance of the great Vaishnavas. And Baladev Vidyabhusan, one of our happy, every pilgrimage place is happy, but one of our happy pilgrimage places is going to Galta, near Jaipur, where Baladev Vidyabhusan defeated the Ramanandis. The Ramanandis, one section of the followers of Ramanujacharya, who they were not only challenging, they were heavily saying that the Gaudiya Vaishnava is not Hare Krishna. The Gaudiya Vaishnavas are not bona fide because they don't have a commentary on the Vedanta Sutras. And they made this challenge, and they said that we should be worshipping the deity, not you Gaudiya Vaishnavas, you're not basically qualified. So the Ramanandis made this challenge, and then the devotees, they wanted Vishwanath Chakravarti to come. He was the very much acknowledged like head of all of the Vaishnava community, and very capable to debate with the scripture, etc. But he was aged, and he was in Vrindavan, and this challenge was taking place in Jaipur, where the deity of Govinda, rediscovered by Rupa Goswami, had gone by his wish due to circumstances in Vrindavan, and he'd gone to Jaipur, and there was in the king's palace. And Vishwanath Chakravarti, he was very aged, and so he said, I cannot go. But he deputed to Baladev Vidyabhusan. You go, and you take up that challenge that they are giving. You stand up for the dignity of what is our, Rupanuga Sampradaya, the Gaudiya Vaishnavism. And that's when Baladev Vidyabhusan went there. Remember those days there were no trains or buses, you can't hire a luxury car with air conditioning and good suspension to go on smooth roads all the way, or a luxury train, or even a luxury aeroplane. You can fly from Delhi to Jaipur, and you can go by very good train, you can go by very good bus, very good car. But those days you'd have to walk from one place to another. So Baladev Vidyabhusan, he was younger, and then Vishwanath Chakravarti asked him to go, delegated him, deputed him. He went, and when he was there, he faced the challenge and said, yes, we have a commentary. It's Srimad Bhagavatam. This is the commentary. This is the commentary of the whole Vedanta, is Vyasadev's Bhagavatam. But then they said, yes, but we all have Bhagavatam. It's not your commentary. And then Baladev said, okay, then give me, whether I've heard 7 days, I've heard 10 days, but whether it's 7 days or 10 days, that he was given to make a commentary. He said, okay, then I will make a commentary. I'll come back. You say we don't have a commentary. I'll bring you a commentary. And they're all thinking, how can he do that? So they agreed 7 days or 10 days that Baladev Vidyabhusan will come back, and they'll reconvene their meeting. And they said, if you can't bring a commentary, then we will take over the worship of Govindaji, and then we'll defeated your sampradaya like this. And Baladev Vidyabhusan went away to Govindaji, the very deity who was being disputed, everyone wanting to worship him, so his service was being disputed. So he went to Govindaji, and then Govindaji wrote himself, Krishna wrote the commentary on the Vedanta Sutra, the Bhasya, the commentary that Baladev Vidyabhusan produced, but Baladev Vidyabhusan said, I'm only holding the pen, and Govindaji is writing. So it then became known as the Govinda Bhasya of the sutras. So this way, Baladev Vidyabhusan went back after those very few days with all this commentary. Here you are, here's our commentary. And they were amazed, those who challenged him were amazed. They accepted defeat. They understood the greatness of Baladev Vidyabhusan and the greatness of the Gaudiya Vaishnava line, and they accepted that the worship of the deity will continue and that the Gaudiya Vaishnavism is dignified. The Baladev Vidyabhusan stood up for the dignity of the Gaudiya Vaishnavism. Hare Krishna.
Jai.
Jai, yes. And that place of Galta, you went there this time, right?
Yeah.
First time ever.
Yeah.
Yeah. I also didn't go there until just a very few years ago, when we were doing the Kartik Parikramas in Vrindavan and Govardhan. And then after the Parikrama, 1 year we went. I think now I've been there 3 or 4 times, but 1 year we went there. And from Jaipur, you can take a tuk-tuk, auto rickshaw like that and go around. And you can also walk. Did you walk from Jaipur directly? You took a thing. You can walk, but it's quite a steep walk. Well, it's a steep walk to go up to the sun temple, Surya Mandi, on the top of the hill.
Where was exactly the place where Baladev Vidyabhusan? It was that where there is the Ganga, hidden Ganga?
Oh, they say that the Ganga is coming out of the mountain, and then there's a kund. It's an extraordinary place. But as far as I know, so you went to the car park, so you like drove around, went to the car park, and then from there you go in, and then there are 2 temples, one on the left and one on the right, before you start going up the stairs. As far as I know, it's in one of those temples, but it's in that location, and where the cross is on the floor, or here he sat. I don't know that anyone knows specifically. And yes, Lavanya, good morning, Dandabat. And I don't know that anyone knows exactly specifically. And you know, in India there's often lots of, oh, it was here. No, come over here, it was here. Give a donation in the box. You know, there's a lot of this goes on in different places. But that's fine. May they do so. And even, Mahaprabhu, there's reference to like giving donations to the enthusiastic brahmanas when he went to do the pinda for his father. So it's been going on forever. It's not only in recent times. And even Krishna, there's a story where Krishna, there's a blind woman who was grinding, but she didn't know if it was day or night because she was blind. So she was grinding corn or something, or maybe not corn, because they don't think they had tortillas, but maybe grinding wheat, because they had chapati, right, ruti and puri. But making noise and disturbing the people in the middle of the night. Then Krishna came, and this is the story. I'm sure it's a leela that they recount. Then Krishna came and put his foot on the grinding wheel to stop her grinding, and said to that lady, "You're disturbing the residents of my Vrindavan." And like that, please don't grind here. And they said, if I don't grind, I don't know if it's day or night. If I don't grind, I won't get any money. I won't be able to eat. I'm just a poor lady. And Krishna said, don't worry. From now on, I'm now implanting my footprint in the grinding mortar. And now, when people hear about this, they'll all come and give you a donation. So even that time in Krishna's time, then he knows, okay, a holy place, people will put some money and they'll keep on going. Anyway, so the exact location where Baladev Vidyabhushan defeated the Ramanandis, whether it is the left or the right or a little further up or wherever, I can't exactly say, but we go to the temple on the left and on the right and further up, and we put a little donation in the box. Why not? Why not? Look at the cost of a toothbrush in the West. At least give a cost of half a toothbrush. We go to the holy places, and it looks very unfair when we all say to devotees, wherever you go, put a donation in the box. But when they're putting like 20 paisa or 50 paisa in the box, think, I'm not sure that's really a donation. I mean, that's very symbolic, because 50 paisa is how much? A penny. 1 penny or 1 cent of the euros. I mean, something like that. We should go to the temples and actually give a little something and put that in our budget when we go to India, that we'll give some donations. And just like you have some discrimination about the sadhus, but Gurudev gave donations to the sadhus. Gurudev gave donations to the sadhus. We don't know who is a real sadhu. Anyway, so Galta is that place, and it's a very sweet place. I think everyone feels it's a sweet place. And another thing, I think I've been there maybe 4 times, and every time when we go there, peacocks left, right, peacocks left, right, as you approach. But then, of course, where there are people, peacocks kind of get out of the way. They want to protect their feathers, if nothing else. Hare Krishna, very naughty. Not naughty peacocks. There are some souls, there may be some souls who are naughty.
But I think they call it the monkey temple. That's what they were saying, that normal tourists go there because there's a lot of monkeys.
Oh,
They go for the wrong.
I can't say about the tourists. Well, thankfully, I can't say about the tourists because we haven't read those books. But
Yeah, they go for the wrong.
yeah, India has a lot of Hindu tourists, you can say. They don't really know what they're doing. But still, you can say, as long as they do go there with some religious thought and not just go there with some mundane thought. And we know people go for mundane thought. We ask, we ask people, oh, why are you coming? And like that. And sometimes the girls say, I'm coming for the boys. And the boys say, oh, I'm coming for the girls. Oh, okay. So what can you say? Like the Western world, as we said before, the Western world, if you go for a holiday and enjoying holiday, that's one thing, but it's not mixed with like religious life. You're not going, supposedly on a pilgrimage, but going to enjoy. But in India, the places to go, generally, they are the holy places. So, unfortunately, in Puri and in places that we know of, all sorts of wrong things take place too. Hare Krishna. Everywhere we have to have some filter. All right. And today is it the appearance day of Ganga Mata Goswamini?
Yeah.
Appearance of Sri Ganga Mata Goswamini. And so she was sent by Haridas, and not Haridas Thakur, but Haridas, the Guru Haridas Pandit in Vrindavan. She became his disciple. She was one of the section who came from a wealthy family and who then gave their life for Krishna, but she gave her life for Krishna through the Vaishnavas. We hear about Mirabai being like a princely lady, and then, or princessly lady, anyway, royal lady, and she gave up everything, but she didn't give credit to the Vaishnavas. She's thinking, oh, me and Krishna. I mean, we've heard this from our gurus, but Ganga Mata Goswamini, she came from good family, but she gave up everything, but come to surrender to the Vaishnavas. She acknowledged the Vaishnavas and the Gurus, and her Gurus, Haridas Pandit, and his samadhi is in Niduvan, in Vrindavan, when you go on parikrama. Seva Kunj is just near our temple, very near. I mean, Seva Kunj is where our temple is, just that some of the trees have turned into concrete and become houses, so I mean, on the surface. But that whole area is Seva Kunj. And when you go walking to the Radha Raman temple, you come to Niduvan, another of the forests. Van is forest. Brindavan, the forest of Brinda. And in Niduvan is the Haridas's samadhi. But Haridas sent her to Puri as seva. What service can I do? Yes, please go to Puri and manage Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya's home, that home there in Puri, where we've been reading about in Chaitanya Charitamrita, and should be reading soon. So she was sent to look after, manage his home, keep it maintained and everything. And when she went there, then she had all the responsibilities there, and she couldn't go and leave the seva that is there, but she wanted to go to have darshan of the Ganga. And somehow in the night she got a dream, and I don't remember exactly the details, but she then was transported to the Ganga by taking a bath in the Kund, just opposite, just outside when you come out of Sarvabhauma's house. There's a Kund, and actually before you go down to the Kund, because you've got to go down, because Kund means lake, water, so the water's at the bottom. Before you go down, if you look up, you can see the Jagannath temple. Even today, when you've got buildings that have grown up, the Jagannath temple is there. So it's very close to the Jagannath temple. There's the Kund, there are some buildings, and the Jagannath temple. And anyway, she went and she had this dream, so she went into that lake, and something very mysterious happened. And anyhow, she kind of went into the Ganges. The Ganges took her. The details I'm not very sure, but after that she became known as Ganga Mata Goswamini. And so she's a prominent lady figure in our line. And that Kund is called Shweta Ganga. Shweta Ganga is the Kund, just opposite. And it's her appearance day today. Hare Krishna. All right, and today...
So Sarvabhauma's Bhattacharya's house is in Vrindavan.
Puri.
Puri.
Yeah, she was in Vrindavan with Haridas, her guru, and Haridas Pandit sent her to Puri. And again, how she went to Puri, I don't know, because she's a single lady, but I expect there was some guardians along the way, because we know it wasn't always so safe to go there. Even recently, means Bhaktivinoda Thakur, so Srila Guru Maharaj, his guru, Srila Saraswati Thakur, his father and guru, Bhaktivinoda Thakur, when he went to Vrindavan, then he saw there how there was a Gunda network, the mafia, mafia, we'd say in the modern age, but mafia network, who were robbing pilgrims who were going to Vrindavan. When pilgrims are going to Vrindavan, then before they get into Vrindavan, they're beating them up, threatening them, robbing them, taking their mobile phones, taking their money, taking their things like that, the things which they would be going there with donations for the deities, they'd be going there with some money for their upkeep. And there was this mafia who were robbing the pilgrims. And Bhaktivinoda Thakur, when he was in Vrindavan and Govardhan, he saw this, and it's an indication of his influence at that time, because he, as a government officer in Bengal, then he had influence in Bengal, but when he went to Vrindavan, he himself took it to stamp out these gundas who were like having free reign. They're doing without any penalty. They're ruling the countryside, as it were, there. So it's not been easy to travel even recently. We know in the time of Mahaprabhu certain sections were very dangerous, and they by arrangement, they made arrangement with the local ruler to get them across different difficult areas. But even recently, I mean, that's 500 years ago, which is not very long ago. But in the 19th century, which is Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur's time, then there were gundas there, and now we always, everyone has some complaint, however smooth the journey can be, however quick it is to take a train, take your own hire taxi and all these things, or even take a plane from, yes, if you're now going from Vrindavan to Puri, very common for devotees to take an aeroplane to cross over. And by the way, the aeroplane actually crosses over Mayapur, not Mayapur, Mathura. And if you look out of the plane and you follow where you are, you can actually look down and you can see the Jamuna, oh, here's Vrindavan. It's an interesting route to go from Delhi airport to Puri. But we're just pointing out that now, if the plane's an hour late or something, then everyone's getting very upset. But how much difficulty to travel, and even up until very recently, quite likely you're going to get mugged along the way and get robbed along the way. And what to speak of other things like crocodiles, and rhinoceroses, and tigers and things like that. So I don't know how Ganga Mata Goswamini crossed over, but she crossed over to Puri, I expect with other pilgrims. And then she was settled there in Jagannath Puri, looking after Sarvabhauma's house, which is still there today. And again, one of those places we go to, the same rocks, the same house, the same place where Mahaprabhu went to. Just like you have the same Jagannath temple, the same Singhadwara, the Lion Gate, the same place that Mahaprabhu went in and out of, and at night would be Ch.Ch, instead of Chaitan, but Ch.Ch, unconscious, outside the Singha Gate. Exactly. Yes, exactly the same everything. And even in our time, outside has changed. And changed, you can say, for the better. It's much cleaner and much, they've done good things to try to control the area. And so, anyway, the outside may be different, but the Jagannath temple and the gate and everything is the same. And similarly, Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya's house, there must be some differences, but you can see that it's old. It's old. It's made of those giant stones, and And they say that there is a tunnel, right? That there is a tunnel there that goes from his house to the Jagannath, to inside the Jagannath temple, so that he was, very, very senior for the management of the temple, the Jagannath temple, and they say he was able to go there without crossing through the public. So that is also there, one of those mystery things. And they show you where's the entrance to the tunnel, but I don't know if anybody's actually researched if it goes there.
Was that the one that was closed because of the snakes?
That was a much longer tunnel. We were mentioned from Kurma Kshetra. When Mahaprabhu went to Kurma Kshetra, there we saw, it does not mention it in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, but we saw the doorway there. And it's in an old wall, again, it's an old wall. And it says this is an entrance to a tunnel that goes to Varanasi. But that's must be 1,000 kilometers. I mean, it's that kind of a distance from Kurma Kshetra to Varanasi. And then there it says, yes, tunnel is now closed due to infestation of wild animals and snakes. But from Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya's house to the temple, it's like 500 meters or something like that. It's not It's not 1,000 kilometers, it's 500 meters.
So it's not related to the pastime of Ganga Mata or something?
Excuse me?
The tuning that is in the...
I know nothing about the tunnel. I've never read anything about it, except when you go there, they say, oh, here there's a tunnel that goes there. So I've not read it anyway. So lots of stories may float around. You've heard something, right?
I read something about that pastime, and he said that she went to the temple, but they treat her bad, in a bad way. So they commit offenses with that. With her, so they make a tune. I don't know. I don't remember exactly, but they make some arrangement to her to go to the temple and some facilities to go to the temple for her.
Okay, you've read that somewhere, but in the somewhere zone there are lots of things. But there is a pastime where she did go to Lord Jagannath in the night.
Exactly.
And we'd have to do some homework, but I've not heard any mention of a tunnel. Rather, she went to that Sveta Ganga, and then when she came out, then she was at, I think it's a separate pastime than the Ganges one, but then she found herself at the altar. Mm-hmm. Somehow she is washed up at the altar. But in that pastime, I've not heard anything about the tunnel, that rather, mystically she bathed in the Ganges and something happened. In Sveta Ganga, something happened, and then she came at the deity. But what is the fact? We can look it up. We can look it up with a gentle caution, because there are many stories there, which we know stories in Navadip that Guru Maharaj says, no, it's invented for getting donations. And that in Navadip we have, there is, what's it called? The old, I forget now the name of it, but in Navadip there's people who claim, oh, here is Mahaprabhu's appearance place. I forget what they call it now. Vrinda something. Anyhow, Guru Maharaj was asked about that, and Guru Maharaj said, no, completely not so. But for some income, they have made like this. So, this happens. So we can try to verify something, but I have read about her going into that Sveta Ganga and coming up in the Jagannath temple. Then she was something abused. Mm-hmm. And then Jagannath himself came to the pandas and said something. But in that relationship, I've not seen anything about a tunnel. But let's see, we can do a little homework in the daytime and then see what we come up with. And in the evening, we can put our homework together and see what we find. There are lots of stories in India. And every village and every tree, everywhere, someone's got a bit of a story. So, and many of them are true, and some of them need a little verification, we can say. And so we're very happy to share the ones that we know are true, that Guru Maharaj has been asked or Gurudev has indicated, because if you just go by the village talk, you may or may not get something accurate. And we all know, even from a talk at 6 a.m., at 6:30 a.m., what the devotees are discussing about what they heard at 6 a.m. may not be very accurate to them. And we've had it directly. And then we hear devotees talking about something like we were with Gurudev just an hour before, and devotees are in the book room talking about it. And I'm hearing them talking and think, that's not what Gurudev was saying, but they're discussing in this way. So anyway, we have to be a little not suspicious, but cautious about where we are receiving, learning, hearing about these things, because we want it to be from a reliable source. And I have heard things that people say Guru Maharaj did, which are absolutely like 1,000,000% wrong, and similarly with Gurudev. So there are all sorts of stories floating around, which are absolutely invented, or how they come about, like bamboo forest. With no cause, a bamboo forest catches on fire by sticks rubbing together, the bamboo rubbing together in the wind. So many things come up.
Thankfully, we have you to approve.
Well, thankfully we had Gurudev and Guru Maharaj to approve, and we still go to them for approval. Try to understand what is right and wrong. And by the way, Srila Gurudev bathes in the Ganges near to Chaitanya Saraswati. It must have been taken on this day, presumably, with the partial transcript. There you are. So on the Mat website, there's Gurudev in the car, and I know who's driving the car.
You.
After delivering a wonderful discourse in glorification of the Ganges, Srila Gurudev, Srila Bhakti Sundar Govinda Dev Goswami Maharaj, spontaneously decided to take bath in the holy river. And there's an excerpt of his talk, and there's Gurudev bathing in the Ganges. And this is the time that he lost his amulet,
Yes.
the arm amulet,
Kavacha.
Kavacha.
These are beautiful pictures.
And it's India, it's Navadip. There's a little temple. There's a temple in the trees just before you go down there to the Ghat. This is the Manipur Ghat, and there's a beautiful big trees. I hope they're still there. There's another very unfortunate thing in India. The tree has very expensive if you make it into wood. And that's unfortunately, some people do that. So I hope that big tree is still there. This is, the world of exploitation.
What tree? What sort of tree is it?
A big tree, B-I-G. It's a big tree. I'm not giving lots of shade. I can't tell you the name. I'm not. If I'm there and see the leaf, it could be this, could be that. I can't say. But it's giving lots of shade. But there's a temple there, a little temple. And this not very old lady, but there's a lady who looks after it. And she saw Gurudev. We went there and Gurudev coming down. Nobody asked her anything. She just spontaneously comes with a chair, and she comes running down the hill with the chair for Gurudev, just automatically, seeing exalted personality. And the local people, they know. Maybe I don't know if she knows who he is, but she can see, and she comes with a chair and brings it. And then we saw just now, there's Gurudev sitting in the chair that the lady brought. And in the temple there's Gaura Nitai, maybe the Panchatattva, I'm not sure, little temple. Hare Krishna. A wonderful day.
Yeah.
And that's when Gurudev found the amulet after praying to the Ganges. Okay, dear devotees. Oh, dear devotees. You were expecting some Chaitanya Charitamrita and some Gurudev. Well, we've been discussing various things, but we can read at least a few minutes of Chaitanya Charitamrita today. And for Gurudev, please see the website, sesmat.com. Go there, and there's the transcript, partial transcript of Gurudev's talk of that morning in glorification of the Ganges. So we're going to continue reading Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, Madhya Leela chapter number 7, and it's Mahaprabhu's starting on his tour to South India. He's already started. By now, we're on text 136. So Mahaprabhu's gone to Kurmakshetra. He met the devotee whose name is, the Brahmana whose name was Kurma. and they accepted bhiksha, they accepted prasadam in his home, and we had a description about anyone who saw Mahaprabhu, they were infected with prema vesha, with joyful chanting, ecstasy, and who saw them got ecstasy. Who saw them got ecstasy. This way, everybody became ecstatic wherever the Lord went. Hare Krishna. So thus I have described the Lord's behavior elaborately in the case of Kurma, the Brahmana. In this way, you will know Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's dealings throughout South India. Next morning, Mahaprabhu left after taking his bath, and the Brahmana Kurma followed him a great distance. But eventually, Lord Chaitanya took care to send him back to his home. Please don't come with me. I want to go alone. Please understand. Go back to your village. Chant Hare Krishna and be ecstatic, most likely, is what he said. Not only happy. All right. So now we're continuing. Jai Shri Chaitanya Charitamrita ki jai. Jai Shri Krishna Das Kaviraj Goswami ki jai. Jai Shri Gurudev ki jai. Shri Guru Maharaj ki jai. Shri Rupanuga Guru Father ki jai. Shri A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada ki jai. Madhya Lila Chaitanya Charitamrita, Madhya Lila chapter 7, text 136. Vasudeva Nama Eka Dvija Mahashaya Sarvange Galita Kushta Tate Kida Maya. There was also a Brahmana named Vasudeva who was a great person but was suffering from leprosy. Indeed, his body was filled with living worms. Oh dear. And I've been to a leper colony. The devotees in Malaysia, in Petaling Jaya, they used to get their milk from a goshala, which was all nice goshala, and trying to do everything, the proper way instead of, terrible way. But it was a project that was run by lepers. It was a leper colony. So we went to the leper colony to get the milk, and I went with them.
Infectious?
I don't know, but that's where they go, and people are there. I don't know nothing about medicine, so how infectious it is, I don't know, but presumably they were not infectious in the sense of... Anyway, I don't know, Ch.Ch. David, you can do some homework and find out what but we went to, and there, like everybody's, they've got fingers missing, toes missing, feet missing, all sorts of things, leprosy. Do we hear about leprosy in England?
No.
Anyone gets leprosy?
No.
I don't know what is leprosy. But anyway, with the leprosy also, your features fall off, your ears fall off, your hands, fingers. Anyway. There was a Brahmana, and he was suffering from leprosy. Indeed, his body was filled with living worms. Next verse. So Krishna Das Kaviraj is writing. Although suffering from leprosy, the Brahmana Vasudeva was enlightened. As soon as one worm fell from his body, he would pick it up and place it back again in the same location. Then one night, Vasudeva heard of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's arrival. And in the morning, he came to see the Lord at the house of Kurma. So we're still... And actually, sometimes Krishna Das Kaviraj says, I may not always be giving everything in chronological order. As it comes to me, I'm putting. So we just read that Mahaprabhu left and sent the Brahmana Kurma back home. But now the story Leela that took place at the house of Kurma. So now we've kind of come back to that again. And in the morning, he came to see the Lord at the house of Kurma. When the leper Vasudeva came to Kurma's house to see Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he was informed, okay, that the Lord had already left. So it is in chronology, because he's already left. So he was informed that the Lord had already left. So he's come to see the Lord with eagerness, but he's already left. So then, the leper then fell to the ground unconscious. Bhumite parila duke mochita hoya. Became unconscious. So bhumite parila duke mochita hoya. Anneka prakara vilapa korite lagila sekshane asi prabhu tare alingila. Hare Krishna, happy verse comes next. So that was a sad verse. Now a happy verse. When Vasudeva, the leper Brahmana, was lamenting due to not being able to see Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the Lord immediately returned to that spot and embraced him. Prabhu Sparshe, the touch of Mahaprabhu, Duke Songe Kushta Dure Gela, Ananda Sahita Anga Sundara Hoila. When Mahaprabhu touched him, both the leprosy and his disease went to a distant place. Indeed, Vasudeva's body became very beautiful to his great happiness. Ananda Sahita Anga Sundara Hoila. Prabhu Kripa Dekitara Vismaya Hoila Mana. And Vismaya is very similar to Chamatkara. Vismaya. Prabhura Kripa Dekitara Vismaya Hoila Mana. Shloka Pori Paya Dhori Koraye Stavana. So the Brahmana Vasudeva was astonished. So Vasudeva was astonished to behold the wonderful mercy of Mahaprabhu. And he began to recite a verse from Srimad Bhagavatam, touching the Lord's lotus feet. And the verse is Srimad Bhagavatam from 10th canto, chapter 81, spoken by Sudama Brahmana in connection with his meeting of the Lord. So Sudama Brahmana, I'll read the Sanskrit. Kva hang daridra papiyan, kva Krishna Shri Niketanaha, Brahma bandhur iti smahang, bahu bhyang parirambhitaha. Translation needed. Translation. Who am I? A sinful, poor friend of a Brahmana. And who is Krishna? The Supreme Personality of Godhead, full in 6 opulences. Nonetheless, he has embraced me with his 2 arms. And now in Bengali, Krishnadas Kaviraj is saying, oh, no, he's not. Well, Krishnadas Kaviraj is writing down what Vasudeva is saying. The Brahmana Vasudeva then continued after reciting that verse, oh, my merciful Lord. So he's saying this not as a quote, but he is saying this. He quotes the verse and then says, oh, my merciful Lord, such mercy is not possible for ordinary living entities. Such mercy can be found only in you. In other words, you are not an ordinary living entity. Upon seeing me, even a sinful person goes away due to my bad bodily odor from the leprosy. Yet you have touched me. Such is the independent behavior of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So let's read that because it's in Bengali. Bahu many stuti kore kohe shunna daya moya jive e gunan nahi tomate e hoya more deki Mora gonde palaya pamara. Heno more spasha to me. Heno more spasha to me. Svatantra Ishvara. Hare Krishna. Next verse. Kintu achilang bhala adhama hoya ebe ahankara mora janmibe ashiya. being meek and humble. The Brahmana Vasudeva worried that he would become proud after being cured by the grace of the Lord. Then Prabhu kohe. What does that mean? Mahaprabhu said, Kabu tomara na hobe abhiman. What is abhiman? Pride. All these things, abhiman. So na hobe, you will not you will get abhiman. Kabu tomara na hobe abhiman. Nirantra kohe tumi Krishna, Krishna nama. So Mahaprabhu, to protect the Brahmana, Mahaprabhu advised him to chant the Hare Krishna mantra incessantly. By doing so, he would never become unnecessarily proud. And Nirantara comes up again and again. It means constantly, forever. Many times it comes up, constantly. Nirantara. So what did he say? Nirantara kaha tumi Krishna, Krishna nama. Always speak, you Krishna, Krishna name. Krishna upadeshi kara jivera nistara. Oh achirata Krishna toma karibena angikara. Mahaprabhu also advised Vasudeva to preach about Krishna and thus liberate living entities. As a result, Krishna would very soon accept him as his devotee. After instructing the Brahmana Vasudeva in this way, Mahaprabhu disappeared from that place. Then the two Brahmanas, Kurma and Vasudeva, embraced each other and began to cry, remembering the transcendental qualities of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Thus I have described how Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu reclaimed the leper Vasudeva and so received the name Vasudeva Amrita Prada. Jai. Thus I end my description of the beginning of the tour of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, his visiting the temple of Kurma, and his liberating the leper Brahmana Vasudeva. Okay, 3 or 4 more verses. One who hears, that's you, one who hears and you at home, and you behind the camera, one who hears these pastimes of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu with great faith, that's you, will surely very soon attain the lotus feet of Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Next verse. Chaitanya Leelara Adi Anta Nahi Jani Se Likhi Je Mahantrera Mukhe Shunni. I admit that I do not know the beginning or the end of Mahaprabhu's pastimes. However, what I have written, I have heard from the mouths of great personalities. O devotees, please do not consider my offenses in this regard. Your lotus feet are my only shelter. Shri Rupa Raghunatha Parijārāsha Chaitanya Charitamrita Kohe Krishna Rasa. Praying at the lotus feet of Shri Rupa and Sanatan, always desiring their mercy. I, Krishna Das, narrate Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, following in their footsteps. And tomorrow a wonderful verse, a wonderful chapter coming up, the talks between Sri Ramananda Roy and Mahaprabhu, or between Mahaprabhu and Ramananda Roy, Sri Ramananda Samvad. Every chapter is the best, every pastime is the best. Every day is the best when we can be in something, the association, the vibration of the great souls, according to the direction and example of our great masters. Jai Srila Gurudev ki jai, Srila Guru Maharaj ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, and Jai Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita ki jai. And Jai Shri Gangamata Goswamini ki jai, and Jai Shri Baladev Vidyabhusan ki jai, Vishwanath Chakravarti ki jai, and all of our Rupa Nuga Guru Varga ki jai. Hare Krishna. So,
we have a few devotees.
What?
Who have,
some devotees. Hare Krishna, dear devotees at home. Dear devotees at home, at work, and hereabout. Okay, very good. Dandavat, dandavat to one and all. Dandavat, dandavat to one and all. We can see who is watching, we can see who makes a comment, but maybe I'm not sure that we see who is otherwise watching. But to all of you, our obeisances one by one, and to the devotees who also will see later. I expect it's recorded, and somewhere it will be on the web. So anyway, we're just here in the temple, and thank you for joining us. We do have extra mats down, so we're happy to see you seated on the mats. All right. Panchakalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhya eva cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. And now I'm going to pass the microphone to a volunteer who will either volunteer themselves or we shall volunteer them to sing Hari Haraya Nama Krishna. And Saraswati is pointing at Ananda Swarupini to lead. So please do so. Hari Haraya Nama Krishna Yadavaya Namaha. Yadavaya Madhavaya Keshavaya Namaha.
Jai Sai Pakar Shishi Guru Garanga Gandalva Govinda Sindhu Givit Hari Gopal Ju Ki Jai Jai Shishi Guru Garanga Vara Givit Hari Ju Ki Jai Jai Om Vishapa Paramamsa Paravaja Kachai Vari Astatai Tata Shishi Mashri Nirmal Acharya Maharaj Ki Jai Jai Om Vishapa Paramamsa Paravaja Kachai Vari Astatai Tata Shishi Mashri Bhakti Sundar Govinda Dev Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai Jai Om Vishapa Paramamsa Paravaja Kachai Vari Astatai Tata Shishi Mashri Bhakti Vaka Shrita Dev Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai Om Vishapa Paramamsa Paravaja Kachai Vari Astatai Tata Shishi Mashri Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Ki Jai Jai Om Vishapa Shrita Gauri Kishori Das Babiji Maharaj Ki Jai Jai Om Vishapa Shrita Sakchitananda Shrita Bhakti Vinod Thakur Ki Jai Jai Om Vishapa Shrita Jagannath Das Babiji Maharaj Ki Jai Shri Rupanuka Guru Varga Ki Jai Namacharya Shrita Haridas Thakur Ki Jai Shrita A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada Ki Jai Shri Bhattacharya Vijayabhusana Ki Jai Shri Narottam Shamananda Srinivasa Acharya Prabhu Ki Jai Shri Vrindavan Das Thakur Ki Jai Shri Krishnadas Kaviraj Ki Jai Shri Vishwanath Chakrabarti Prabhu Ki Jai Shri Narottam Shamananda Srinivasa Acharya Prabhu Ki Jai Sarpashada Shri Nityananda Prabhu Ki Jai Sarpashada Shri Mahaprabhu Ki Jai Jai Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopi Gopinath Shamakund Radhakund Govardhan Gopal Ki Jai Shri Lakshmi Vavaha Devi Ki Jai Shri Bhakti Vinashara Shri Nasinga Devi Ki Jai Bhakti Vavaha Prahlad Maharaj Ki Jai Tosi Maharani Ki Jai Gandhi Jani Marti Ki Jai Grant Rashmi Bhagavatam Ch.Ch. Tamata Ki Jai Bishop Varshnava Bhakti Sabha Ki Jai Akramat Vacha Shri Ch.Ch. Mat Ki Jai Sakamat Ki Jai Vrindavan Tam Ki Jai Govinda Kun Ki Jai Govinda Jai Harinam Sankirtan Ki Jai all the assembled devotees Ki Jai Nisha Goa Premanandi Hari Hari Bol Jai Shishi Guru Govinda Vada Guru Jai Jai Jai